Another way to decode the news is that whenever something happens, something major, like this Orlando shooting, you'll either never see footage of a killer. That's one. They'll never show you the individual shooting himself or getting shot. They'll never show you the individual on his way to the theater. It almost never happens. The shooter will always kill himself or supposedly get killed by officers. But this is never seen. Again, if it was any other regular, real incident, they would show shootouts, they would show the gunshots, they would show the act taking place, robberies, whatever it is. And they always give a justification for not showing these by guarding the family and things like that. But they don't care about guarding the family in a regular shooting. An example of this is today in the Orlando shooting case, it came out that Omar Mateen was actually gay, had a gay lover, and the cause of the reason as to why he shot up this club was because he was acting revenge. So first, this was a supposed terrorist attack. They linked him to ISIS and things like that. This is just another example as to how these things are staged and scripted. Now, it shows that it wasn't a terrorist attack, had nothing to do with that, and this was just an act of revenge. He had a gay lover. He was supposedly, either the gay lover was infected with HIV and slept with him, or he had it, and it was Puerto Rican. So now it went from a terrorist attack to gay revenge and race because the guy was Puerto Rican. I say all this to say is, when you see events, look at these events in stages. Before you initially react, notice that a lot of stuff is not released up front. The reason for that is, A, if everything is supposedly released up front, it would give people more information to go on, and it would activate your critical thinking a lot quicker. B, the reaction has to be by the individuals that put these fake stories out or stage stories, because people can actually get killed, may have actually been killed. It doesn't change the fact that a lot of that is done by trained U.S. killers. And when you see these stories, give it like at least a week or two, and you'll start to see more bizarre things come out that would never come out when these things happen. An example of that, like I said, is this Orlando shooting, where now the guy is confirmed gay, has a gay lover, did an interview, and now has a thing against Puerto Ricans. All of this stuff is staged. But what's the end game? The more you feel fear and restricted, the less you'll open up and get into that self, that's you, that beautiful being that you have within yourself, which is the actual goal. It's not these fake stories. It's not these distractions. The goal is to get into yourself so you can be the best person you could be. It's difficult to do that when you have to constantly run uphill to amass money and provide for yourself and deal with artificial circumstances that make natural circumstances that much more difficult. So the solution is get used to identifying patterns in the things you see outside of you, and get used to identifying patterns with things that do involve you. What this does is it takes the attention away from outside of you and it gives it to yourself. It also gives you practice to apply these things to yourself. When you watch a news story and you learn to put pieces together and you learn to question and you learn to actually see things for what they are, not what is presented, not what people pressure you to feel because of emotions, you'll start to see in your life when you talk to people, that ability will translate. And you'll be able to see through people's nonsense quicker. You'll be able to communicate much better. You'll be able to get to the point faster. And you'll be able to devote more time to what's important versus devote time to what's frivolous. And that'll allow you to improve on your career, improve on your life, improve on your goals. Because you'll have practice how to discern things that matter in a quicker fashion. So that's why I decided to do these videos. and show that these things are staged, because the more you realize these things are orchestrated, the more you see that there's an overall agenda. Historically, wars and things like that have been created and staged for individuals to make more money. In order for you, if you're distracted, the people that have positions of influence can always use you, use me, to just be workers, to power a system, to benefit their pockets as opposed to benefit your pockets. So people aren't going to turn the TVs off, but what we can do is just change the conversation. You could change the conversation in your life, change the conversation in general, just by questioning. Starting a conversation is the best thing you could do when it comes to things that come across your ear, because now it gives you a different frame of reference. It gets you outside of following. It allows you to be more of a leader. And the more you cultivate the abilities to be a leader, the less likely you will be dragged down, the less likely you'll be susceptible to moods and negative emotions and things like that, because you'll always know and be aware of things as they happen, and you'll never be late to the party. That is why this is important. So as I do more videos, I'll give more examples and connect events more personally, so you can see how world events do matter to you. Because whether it's foreclosures, whether it's police brutality, whether it's you not being able to get a job, whether it's minimum wage being increased, all of these things affect you, period. And all of these things have the same root. They're artificial circumstances that are created to be real. And they are created in order for you to have a harder time. So that's very important. Just like the minimum wage situation, people think that the increase in wage is good. But what most people don't realize is that when the wages increase, the minimum wages increase, companies adjust to that, not by giving more jobs. They adjust to that by firing more people, because they don't want to pay out more money. They want to keep the minimum wage low to increase their bottom line. So when that happens, these companies, as they fire more people, they make things more automated. You might go into a Wendy's or a McDonald's and you'll be served by a kiosk or a machine. You'll see less humans. And this right here impacts local economies, because if people are making less money, they're committing more crimes. And when people are committing more crimes, that promotes more fear. And more fear promotes more law restrictions. And that is why you see movies like The Purge election year coming. The reason why these movies come out is a conditioning aspect of it. Because right now, people are looking for jobs a lot less. Right now, people are looking for solutions. And right now, the ability to acquire money is going to depend on your ability to be more creative, not your ability to seek out someone else to give you a job to pay you for your service. You have to create that for yourself. So all of these things are cyclical. When you see these events happen, it puts more pressure on society, because at the end of the day, people just want to make money. And when people aren't able to make money due to laws being passed, due to these events happening, and due to all of these restrictions, people turn to crime. And the biggest promoter, the biggest cause of crime is poverty. Poverty is violence, period. You show me where poverty is, I'll show you violence. You show me where people have money, the violence is less. That's why looking at these events are important, because at the end of the day, whether it's a mass shooting in Orlando, whether it's these laws being restricted on your constitutional rights, whatever it is, whatever you see, whether it's an assassination attempt that's far away from the U.S. because a politician has been killed because they were going to vote to have Britain stay in the EU, these things affect you, because these things all trickle down to being restricted. And when people feel restricted and when people are broke, trust me, they could care less who you are. The savage in every human being is going to come out to some degree. And that is why movies like Purge comes out this summer during the election year, because it's conditioning you to prepare yourself. When you see interest rate hikes, interest rates are a bigger promoter for violence than guns. Because as interest rates increase and as economic policies happen, it makes it harder for people to borrow money. It makes it harder for people to get loans to purchase homes. So when you can't purchase a home, when you can't find a job, and your money is decreased, you get stressed. And that is why these events are important. That's why it's important for you to decode what's going on, because it's going to affect everyone. When it might not see it, but the more people have less money and the more poor people are, they're going to turn to violence, and that violence is going to turn to you and me. You know what I mean? And if your guns are being restricted, people are making less money, how are you going to defend yourself if some knucklehead or someone that's just starving comes after you to try to take what you have? And this is why starting the conversation is important. Starting the conversation in terms of what's going on, looking through the news, seeing how all of this is nonsense, starts to begin to cause a pushback against any negativity that can come your way. Because it starts with the world events, and then it trickles down smaller and smaller and smaller until it comes to our doorstep. And this is the purpose of me making these videos, because this is going to trickle down. It's an election year. Things are going to get very serious. But starting the conversation allows you to kind of redirect your focus into something higher. It allows you to be more proactive. It allows you to question more. It develops those faculties that makes you a stronger person. It enhances the level of your relationships. It enhances your intelligence. And the more intelligent you are, the more you raise up the intelligence of the people that you come across, to where opportunities do come, money does come, change does come. And that's why this is important. So don't just believe what you see on the news. These things have a purpose, period. These things have been set forth decades prior by prior presidents, prior different governments, for overall gradual change in order for a certain amount of the population to be restrictive in the bubble. The biggest thing right now that people feel is that they feel trapped and restricted. Everyone wants to be free. Everyone wants to use their imagination. But these events cause policies that restrict your ability to be happy and restrict your ability to be free. That is why you have to look past what you see and question. If it doesn't make sense, explore that, because it's going to affect you and it's going to affect your children. It already is. Whether it's foreclosures, violence, it's going to come to your doorstep. It's going to come to my doorstep. And the best way to change it is by having the conversation start, changing your energy, uplifting yourself, being happy, showing self-love, and not believing what you see. That's it. When you watch these movies, you watch these cartoons, put the book references to it, put the articles to it, and you're going to see that these patterns are set in motion prior to, that we're being programmed by what we see in order to accept it. But don't watch TV. When you watch TV, act on the television, question, discern it, and see what it's telling you, because media is a delivery device for a message, and that message is delivered by entertainment. So with that, that's the overall theme. Start the conversation, look through the stories. When major events happen, look past those events and start looking at what laws are passed that are not being promoted. Start looking at different things that's not being mentioned in the newspaper, because these things will affect you. Things like minimum wage causes a direct response from companies to hire less people. So what's the purpose of increasing minimum wage if it's going to decrease jobs? Things like this is what we need to be more discerned about, because it's going to force you to be more of in a mindset of creating your own employment, creating your own opportunities, because the universe and governments reward the creators and the producers, not the consumers. So with that, I hope this video was helpful. Any mistakes that I made, I apologize in advance. Please contribute, start the conversation, positive or negative, give feedback, because it starts with you talking differently. Talk different, think different, and your outcomes will be different. Peace.